Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I have an intriguing story, Forbidden Love, that will melt your hearts. You know, people talk about love as if it's easy, like all it takes is meeting the right person and everything falls into place. But for me, love wasn't that simple. It wasn't roses and candlelight. It was a battle against expectations, prejudices, and even against the people we love the most. My name is Bennett. I'm a single father, a businessman, and, though I never expected to be, a man who fought for forbidden love. My story isn't perfect, but it's real. It's about how I fell for a woman I was never supposed to love, how the world tried to tear us apart, and how we refused to let it. This is the story of Charlie and me. It started on a Friday evening. I had taken my kids, Layla and Jordan, to an art gallery downtown. It wasn't exactly their idea of a fun night out, but I thought exposing them to a bit of culture wouldn't hurt. The place was buzzing, wine glasses clinking, soft music playing, people murmuring about brushstrokes and symbolism. I remember standing in front of this enormous abstract painting, trying to explain to my kids why it looked like someone had just thrown paint onto a canvas. Layla, my oldest, looked up at me and said, "Dad, this is boring." And Jordan, always the comedian, said, "I could do that in art class." I chuckled, trying to distract them, when suddenly Jordan bumped into someone. She was carrying a tray of champagne glasses and one nearly tipped over. But she caught it. Quick reflexes. She laughed. "No harm done. I think I saved the drink." I looked up and saw her for the first time. She had fiery red hair that seemed to glow under the gallery lights and a smile that could disarm anyone. "I hope my son hasn't added to your list of challenges tonight," I said, smiling back. "Not at all," she said, laughing again. "Kids make things interesting." We exchanged a few more words, light, playful, and just like that, she was gone, weaving back through the crowd. I didn't even get her name. But fate has a funny way of working. A week later, I walked into my favorite cafe for a meeting. It's a little spot I go to for quiet thinking, good coffee, and occasional business discussions. As I waited for my associate to arrive, I noticed someone in the corner, hunched over a sketchbook. It was her, the woman from the gallery. She had a pencil tucked behind her ear, charcoal smudged on her hands, and the most focused expression on her face. I walked over, and she looked up, startled but smiling. "Art again?" I teased. "Or is this just how you pass the time?" She laughed. "You again. Should I start calling you the art guy?" Her name was Charlie Brooks, and she was an artist, or at least she wanted to be. She was working as a server to make ends meet while chasing her dreams. We talked for what felt like minutes but turned out to be hours, about art, my work, my kids. She was so different from anyone I'd ever met, full of life, unguarded, and yet there was a depth to her. Before I left, I found myself inviting her to a charity gala I was hosting. It was out of character for me, spontaneous, unplanned. But something about her made me want to take the risk. When Charlie walked into the gala that night, she took my breath away. She wore a simple black dress, nothing flashy, but she carried herself with a quiet confidence that drew every eye in the room, including mine. But as soon as we walked in together, I felt the weight of the room shift. The whispers started almost immediately. "Who's she? Victor brought a white girl?" I could feel the judgment, not just from strangers, but from people I considered friends. My closest friend, Marcus, pulled me aside at one point. "Victor," he said quietly, "what are you doing? You couldn't find someone more fitting?" "Fitting?" I asked, my voice sharp. "You know what I mean," he said. "This doesn't look good." I brushed him off, but I couldn't ignore the way people were looking at us, or the way Charlie was shrinking under their stares. Later that night, as we danced, I leaned in close and said, "Don't let them get to you. You belong here because you're with me." She smiled, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. Charlie grew up in a small working-class town about an hour outside the city. When she asked me to meet her parents, I agreed, though I knew it wouldn't be easy. Her father, Bill, was polite but distant. Her mother, Diane, was warmer but still guarded. Over dinner, Bill asked questions about my work, my background, but his tone was clipped, almost suspicious. After dinner, he pulled Charlie aside. I wasn't meant to hear, but their voices carried. Sweetheart, he said, he's got money charm, but he's not like us. This isn't a fairy tale. You're young. Think about what you're getting into. Charlie came back to the table with red-rimmed eyes. She didn't tell me what he said, but I could guess. My own family wasn't much better. My mother, Vivian, had always been my rock. She was proud, strong, and fiercely protective of me and the legacy I was building. When she met Charlie, she was polite but distant. Later, she sat me down. Victor, she said, this girl, she doesn't understand what it means to be us. She's not part of our world. She loves me, I said. And what about your children? She asked. What happens when people start whispering about their father's choices? I didn't have an answer for her then. The pressure began to take its toll. Charlie and I started arguing, not about us, but about everyone else. One night, she broke down. Victor, she said, maybe they're right. Maybe this is too hard. I was angry, not at her, but at the world for making her feel this way. Do you love me? I asked. Of course I do, she said. Then fight for us, I told her. But I could see the exhaustion in her eyes. The turning point came from my daughter, Layla. One evening, she found me sitting alone, staring at a picture of Charlie. Daddy, she said, why don't you just marry her? I laughed bitterly. It's not that simple. But you're always telling me to stand up for what's right, she said. If you love her, isn't that right? Out of the mouths of babes, right? Her words gave me the courage to fight for Charlie again. We worked hard to bring our families together. I invited Charlie's parents to a barbecue, where I cooked and told stories about my childhood. Charlie spent time with my kids, teaching them to sketch. Slowly, the walls began to come down. I proposed to Charlie in the cafe where we reconnected. I filled the room with her sketches and pictures of us. When I knelt down, I said, we've faced so much, but I don't want to face anything without you. Will you marry me? She cried, laughed, and said yes. Our wedding was a celebration of love, triumphing over adversity. Both families came together, their differences set aside. As we danced under twinkling lights, I knew that love, real love, was worth every bottle. Looking back, I know we weren't supposed to work. The odds were against us. The world didn't want us together. Love isn't easy, it's not supposed to be, but when you find someone who makes you stronger, who stands by you no matter what, you fight for them. And Charlie, she was worth every battle.